use case diagram. The question now is, what is a use case diagram? Yeah, a use case diagram. I'll skip this because it's just what we're going to learn. Now, a use case diagram is simply a unified model language. We had that before, UML diagram. Yeah, UML is a standard language for a standard language for designing, a standard language for diagrams in systems design. So it's a unified language, behavioral diagram, frequently used to analyze various systems. It also illustrates how users are actors in this case, interact with the system to achieve a particular goal. You remember we looked at student loan process system that we're trying to build. Yeah. What are we trying to achieve there for students to be able to submit the application and get feedback within 48 hours? Yeah. So it helps you to illustrate how the actors interact with system, achieve a goal. It also provides a high-level view of the system functionalities from the perspective of the user, not from the technical perspective, how the users would interact with the system, not how it's going to be built. Yeah. So what is the main purpose of a use case? One, capture the business requirement. Two, to define scope. Three, to identify the system. Sorry, to identify the users of the system. Yeah. Five, it helps to facilitate stakeholder discussion and also communicate functionality to the developer and testers. So sometimes people don't know how important use case is. Yeah. The developers and testers, it helps them to understand where they should focus on. Yeah. Now, this is a UML diagram. You could see on this diagram, we have a structure and a behavioral diagram. The use case is a behavioral UML diagram. Yeah, and you can see where it falls on as a use case. The reason is behavioral, it's dynamic, it moves. You're telling how the system is going to behave, unlike this one that is static. Yeah, you're just talking about how it's going to be presented. Yeah, this one, you can see this activity diagram, talk about your process map. Yeah, but we are focusing on this one. Yeah, so you see UML diagram covers all these components. Now, for you as a BA, you should be able to understand this use case diagram, activity diagram. Yeah, if you are advanced, if you are technical, you should also look at interaction. Again, I don't think you guys need it except you guys are an architect. Yeah. So again, a use case diagram is a behavioral UML diagram. Yeah. That shows how the actors interact with the system. Now, the actors in this case are people using the system. So what's components of UML diagram? So UML diagram have four components: the system boundary, which is the scope, we define the scope, the actors, that means the people using the system, the use case itself, talk about what the system is going to be doing, what actions will the actors perform with the system. Then the fourth one is the relationship. Now, if we look at this illustration here, this diagram on our left-hand side, you could see the actors. This is just representation of a use case diagram. Yeah, this is the actors, actor one and actor two. And we have the use cases inside. These are functionalities within the system. Yeah, and we also have relationship. You see the link here. This link, this actor is linked to this use case. We could also see this is also relationship. Yeah, I hope I'm making sense. Now, actor is an external user of the system, interacts with the system. An actor is represented basically the human state. Yeah. So let me just quickly jump this. Okay, let's start with the first component, which is the system itself. The system boundary. That's the first component. This is the scope of what we are trying to build. Everything inside this rectangle box, yeah, is what the users or the actors are going to be doing. Anything outside it, yeah, is out of scope. Remember, I talked about in scope and out of scope, yeah? So the system boundary is simply the application that we're trying to build. For instance, student loan process or student loan application, yeah? So the system boundary is simply represented by this rectangle box. That is the first component. Then the second component is the actors. Yeah. The actors are the users of the system. Yeah. You identify who are the people that are going to be using the system. Those are your actors. Yeah. Now, actors are usually external to the system. So the actors interact with the system. So we have two types of actors. We have this primary actor, which is usually on the left side, and the secondary actor, which is on the right side. Now, the primary actor usually is the one that initiates, yeah, the process or the event or the action. Why the secondary actor, which is on the other side, the right-hand side, responds to the requests of the primary actor. Is it making sense so far? Okay. Now, the next component is the use case itself, which is what will the system do? Yeah. What will the system do? What will the system do? Yeah. So that's the use case itself, the functionality of the system that you are building. For example, we said the system, the student loan system, for instance, yeah, we're going to have the user should be able, which is student, should be able to register and to log in. Yeah. In that example that we started with the student loan system. But in this system here, we have use cases inside. First, we have the login, we have the register, we have book a course and make payment. All this in this oval shape is a use case. The use case is simply depicted by the oval shape. Yeah. So we have make payments, we have book a course. So whatever your system you are trying to build is, the functionality is what is the use case. Yeah. Functionalities in the system is what is called the use case. Yeah. Sorry, one minute. Let me just finish this. Now, the next component is the relationship. The relationship is simply the communication link between the actor and the use case. Now, note, every inside this box, remember the box is the scope of what we are. everything inside the box is in scope of what we are looking at. Yeah. So this is an actor, and the actor, what does it do for the system? In this case, transfer form. So you can see the link between the actor and transfer form is the relationship. Yeah. The link between the actor, which is this thick human here, and the use case, which is transfer form, that link is a relationship. Does it make sense? Bola, you raised your hand up before.
Yes, I wanted to ask, is it possible to have more than one primary actor? For example, maybe when we're looking at this case of student, maybe whole students, returning students, or a new student.
Get there.
Is I
Yeah,
just okay, okay, thank you.
you get it. Yeah. So, so that link between this stick human and the use case is the relationship. For this, yeah, we have different types of relationship. For this one here, this solid line here is association relationship. So that means we are associating the actor to this use case. That solid line is called association relationship. Yeah. So we have all these examples here. So this actor is linked with login, it's linked with register, it's linked with book a course, it's linked with payment. So the actor is associated with all these use cases. Yeah. So now we could have multiple use case depending on what you are looking at. Now, this is system analysis. We're analyzing the system now. Yeah. We're analyzing the system. So when you are looking at the system like this, it's easy to engage with your stakeholders because your stakeholders might be asking questions, just like you ask now, Bola. Yeah. If there can be more than one um, primary actor. Yes, there can be more than one primary, but we'll see example. Yeah. So let's look at this example. This is a use case diagram for ATM machine. We are familiar with this. Yeah. Can we look at this diagram very well? Just this ATM machine, ATM, automated teller machine. Yeah. What can we see? Again, Bola, you can see your question here now. So you see, we have a primary actor. We have another primary actor here.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
So again, this is something that we need to also know. The bank is also an actor. Remember, actor is external to the system. Yeah. So the bank is also. Yeah. So for this, whenever you are building a use case, the rectangle box is the system boundary. That's the system we are building. Then the actors are the users of that system. Then the use case is simply the actions the actors are performing. For instance, if you see here, it said subsystem bank ATM. That is the system that we are building. So you have to name it. Whenever you have this box, you name the box so they know that that's the system you're looking at. Now, the primary actor here, we have two primary actors. We have the ATM technician and we also have the, Mike, 1 minute, the customer. Now, in this case, customer can check in balance. Again, you have your card. You have to insert your card, enter your PIN, then you gain access. Yeah, that is not reflected here, but that is how it's supposed to be. Yeah. So now we check balance. Once customer checks balance, yeah, what happens? The bank responds. That's why you can see that the customer is linked by association to check balance. My hand is too fast. While the bank also, why is my hand fast? While the bank also, yeah, responds, because that's why the bank is also associated with that use case. Customer deposit fund, bank also is associated with that. Customer withdraw cash, bank is associated. Customer transfer form, bank is associated. But when technician wants to, you know, try to do some maintain the system, you know, bank is also associated. You can see the customer is no longer associated in this case because now it's the technician that is at work. Yeah. So if the technician is trying to repair, the bank is also associated with that use case. Now, we've defined this interaction. Whenever you're having a conversation again, it's your stakeholders. Your stakeholder might tell you they don't want this repair use case. Yeah. Or they don't want maintenance because they've seen this is how the system is going to work. This is how the actors and this is how the actors are going to be interacting with the system. They could now engage you. Yeah, they will tell you exactly what they want or what they don't want. If there's something that is missing, they will tell you. And if you understand that something is missing also, you can raise it. Yeah, because now they can relate to what you are doing compared to when you just wrote those line of requirements. Yeah. Mike, go on to your question.
Okay, it's a quick one. I was just going to say, because when I saw the first diagram for the ATM, now there are two people to the left, and you said they're users. So my question was going to be, it doesn't necessarily mean that the user of the system is the customer. So anyone who interacts with the system, like in this case, a technician, is also deemed a user of that system.
Now, if you are building a system, the first thing you want to know, who are going to be using the system?
Okay.
Let's take, for instance, when you were designing it initially, when you were gathering your requirements, you didn't consider maintenance. Yeah. So you've looked at the customer and you've looked at the bank. But it never occurred to you that maintenance also should be part of the, you know, should be somebody should perform some maintenance with the system. If you didn't identify it, someone, yeah, one of your stakeholder might be able to identify, especially if they are technical guys, yeah, they'll identify it. Yeah. So you now have to add that one. Yeah. Like now we've added the technician. It wasn't there before. Now we've added it because we missed it out originally, or somebody now, based on our interaction, have identified that we needed that man to be there. Otherwise, yeah, this requirement will not be fit for purpose. Something will be missing. Then tomorrow, we now have to start looking for how to fix that. Yeah? Do you understand now that if this person was not here now, we've missed that requirement? That's why they always say, if you want to, before you talk about eliciting requirements, before you start organizing session for requirement, you want to make sure you know who the key stakeholders are so that you invite them to the meeting. Yeah, because you are just the BA. Yeah, you are the one that would organize them and engage them. Then they will tell you what is in their mind. Then you would help to interpret it. Yeah, in form of this kind of diagram. Now, this is a use case diagram is a high level diagram. Most BAs might never get to see this, except maybe you are in a high level BA. Yeah. Enterprise BA, enterprise level BA might be doing all this. Yeah. But these days, we don't really do all this anymore. But this just only helps you, yeah, to engage your stakeholder to draw out those requirements. Yeah. Mike, I hope I've been able to address your query.
Yes, yes, you have.
In fact,
Thank you.
you addressed your query yourself. You understood it yourself. So let's look at the second one, car rental system. You could see the relationship, the right and the left actor. The right and the left actor, you can see. Yeah, it does not matter, but just know that the left actor is the one that initiates an action, while the right actor responds. Sometimes you might only have the left actor. There's no right actor. That's fine. You define your system based on your requirements. Yeah. It doesn't mean that every time there must be a left and right actor. You might just have only the left actor. Yeah. And the left actor is always the one that initiates action. Yeah. So if there's a right actor, that's fine. The right actor will always respond. Now, the right actor can also be an institution like the bank. And another thing that we always miss, the right actor can also be an event, time. Yeah, time can trigger an action. Remember, automatically, maybe after a certain time of the week, it can trigger a report to be generated. Yeah. So that means at that time becomes an actor. Does it make sense? That part is always very confusing. Yeah. So let's look at the next one. Yeah. We're talking about relationship. Remember, the first relationship we talked about is this solid lines association. Now we are looking at include and extend relationship. Now, for an include relationship, yeah, you could see the arrow here. Yeah, include relationship. The arrow, there's a base use case. For example, login. And there's also an include use case. That's why it's include. So you can see the direction of the arrow. You have an include here, and then you have the direction of a broken arrow. This tells you every time you perform this action, it calls up another use case, which is the include use case. So every time you perform this action, this would be performed alongside. Yeah. For this action to be complete, this action needs to be called and completed. Does it make sense? Yeah. Does it make sense? Just check the arrow. Yeah. For example, if you want to log in, automatically the system will verify your login details. That means login functionality, just login use case does not just will not be complete until the system verifies you. Once the system verifies that you are the person that you say you are, then it will give you access. The opposite is the extend use case. If the system verifies you, yeah, and you are not who you say you are, the system will display an error message. So that's where we have the extend. The extend and the include use case, they are similar, but the extend, yeah, does not happen all the time, just like the include use case. The include use case is every time you log in, the system will verify your details and give you access. But let's say you forget your password, yeah, and you try to log in, the system will automatically generate an error message, meaning your details is not correct. Yeah, so that becomes an extend because it's not every time you forget your password, but sometimes you do forget your password or you type in the wrong key. Yeah, does it make sense? This scenario. So I have this example. Whenever you sneeze, yeah, automatically you close your eyes. If you've noticed, if you sneeze, you close your eyes automatically. Yeah, you don't have control over that. That is an include scenario, use case scenario. Yeah. Now for an extend, yeah, every time you sneeze, yeah, you say excuse me. Most times we do it, you know. Um, but on rare occasions, we don't say excuse me. But what is constant is that once we sneeze, we close our eyes. That is given. Excuse me now depends probably our mood or the environment we find ourselves. Does it make sense? So use case happens all extend use case doesn't happen all the time, but include use case happens every time. Yeah. So you just make sure you understand the direction of the arrow of include and sometimes it's usually. Does this make sense, guys?
For
Yeah.
me, yes.
If it doesn't, just say it doesn't.
I would like a repeat, even a
Okay.
brief one, or
Okay.
just an extension of what you've explained. Thank you.
Let me take it back again. Remember, this is the fourth component of a use case diagram. Relationship is the first component. Talked about the actors. We talked about the system boundaries. Yeah. I've also talked about the use cases itself. So now we're talking about the fourth one, the relationship. Now, identify the first one, which is the association relationship. That is the solid line. Let me go back again. The solid line. So we can see the solid line. Abigail, you can see the solid line, right?
Yes, I can see.
So that solid line is association. So you're associating the actor to that use case or this actor to that use case. It's association. Yeah? Now we look at this. This is different. This is include or extend relationship. Remember the first solid line, that is association. I'm associating myself to this class. Yeah. The class, this session is a use case. Now I am associating myself to this class. A solid line is drawn from me to this class use case. Again, you guys are also an actor in this case because you are in this session. Yeah. So you are external to the system. I'm also external to the system, but we all have a function with the system. So there's an association relationship in this case. Does it make sense? Abigail? Yeah? So the next level is the include and the extend relationship. Now, the include relationship simply is an include relationship have a base use case. And every time you try to perform the base use case, it calls up another use case called an include, which is, for example, the login. Every time you try to log in, the system automatically verifies your details. Yeah? You can't log in just like that. This login functionality will not be complete except this verification functionality is completed. Yeah. So this login, you try to log in, the system automatically performs this. It's automatic, just performs this for you to log in. Yeah. Agnes, go on.
I understand what you're talking about, but the arrow, how to differentiate the arrow that talked about include and the one that the extend, that's what I don't know how
Okay.
to
Okay.
differentiate.
Fine. We'll deal with that. 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓. 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓. Am I correct with that
Yeah,
pronunciation?
don't worry, it's fine. Yeah, that's my name. So just a quick one, just to
Yeah.
kind of cement what you're saying. So relationship A is by association. So automatically, as a primary actor, one of the functions I want to perform is logging, or the use case is logging. But by extension, if I need to logging, I need to be verified. So that not by extension, but I need to include verification into that step. So login can't take place independent of verification. Is that what you're saying? So that's what we're
Fantastic.
including.
Yes.
Okay.
It happens automatically and simultaneously. Yeah. Where's Agnes? Agnes, I can't find you again. Okay, you're here. So Agnes, if you want to
I'm here.
identify the difference, yeah, you see the arrow for include. It points to, remember, include has a base use case, which is login, and an include use case. The arrow points to the include use case. It's a broken arrow like this. It points to that. For an extend, remember, include always happen. Sorry, include always happen, and it happens automatically. Yeah.
Yes.
Extend, you can see, it's the same process, but you can see the extend arrow is pointing back to the base use case. Does it make sense?
Not yet.
Okay. See the arrow here. See this arrow. Okay, let me go back to the beginning. If you want to log in, yeah, once you enter your details, the system automatically verifies, confirm that this is the right person. Yeah?
Yes.
Do you understand to that point?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay. That point where it verifies becomes another use case, which is include. So the arrow will be pointing to that.
Okay.
Because this does not happen in isolation. This have to happen as well for this to be complete.
Okay.
Yeah. So these two use cases would happen simultaneously. Yeah, it happens automatically. You don't get, there's nothing you can do about it. You just say, once this one happens, this should also happen. So you have an include relationship here. So the next line is, you know, when they talk about happy parts
Yes, happy
and
part, yeah. Positive
alternative
response.
parts, exactly. So look at it like that. This is a happy part. Yeah. If
Yes.
things did not go well, it gives you an alternative part, which is extend. Yeah. Again, that is not how we explain it, but because if you can get the context using like the happy part, you should be able to apply it as well here. Yeah.
Yes.
Does it make sense now? Just look at the arrow. Yeah, it
In
goes
this,
back.
sorry, in the include, what we're trying to, okay, I think I'm getting it now. You log in and the arrow points to, okay. So here I log in and okay, I get it now. Thank you.
I think somebody raised their hand just now. Shanika, you raised your hand.
Yeah, but I get it as well. So I consider like logging the primary function. So it's like the parent, and then the other one is the child. So the arrow is pointing from the parent to the child.
Yeah,
That's my
don't
way
don't
of
don't yeah
understanding
don't
it.
yeah don't use it like that because we get to the one that looks like that.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah? So just look at it like a happy part when things go right, when everything goes well. Yeah, you log in successfully, right? Yeah. So if everything does not go well, yeah, then you want to identify that things didn't go well. So that's why it now displays the error message. So that error message is simply an indication that things didn't go well. So that means there will be an extend relationship, the error message, and the arrow will now point back to the base use case. Now remember, log in is the base use case, while the include or extend use case, yeah, is the other part. One will be done automatically, while the other one, yeah, oh sorry, one happens all the time, which is the include, while the one that doesn't happen all the time is the extend. If you see it like that, you'll be fine. Don't worry, if you practice, you get it. Yeah. So we're looking at the next one. Okay, let's look at this diagram. Yeah, this diagram is an airline reservation system. So we could see, who do we think are the actors of an airline reservation system? Who are the actors going to be using that kind of system? We know passengers, they want to fly, they want to travel, they have to book their flight. Yeah, so passengers. Who else? The bank, because you have to pay, you know, for you to book a ticket.
The agent
Yeah,
as well. Agents.
yeah, the agents. The agent can be, you see, we didn't add agent here, so you can see you can add your agent. Yeah, if you're building the system and you want your agent to be there, you just add your agent there. Yeah, because as passengers can book, agents can help you to book as well. But at the same time, the bank will always be here because the bank will respond when it comes to payment. Does it make sense? We also have admin. Admin can decide to cancel your ticket or check your flight status for you or update the flight schedule. Yeah. So, but ultimately, what we are looking here is the include and the extend relationship. We know about the solid line, which is the association. Raphael, go on.
Okay, thank you very much. In this very diagram, I'm thinking that the admin should be on your right-hand side because they respond
Why?
to what the passenger imputes.
If you are using the system, you don't need admin to do anything. Yeah. You don't interact with admin in any way now. Do you understand?
Yeah,
Raphael,
I
do you
don't.
understand? If you don't understand, just tell me. I'll just explain it to you now. Yeah? Now, this is why admin, you don't interact with admin. Yeah? You are the passenger, you are the agent. Just go in, you log in, you check availability of the flight, you book the flight, you make your payment. You don't need admin for any of this. Okay, maybe there's a problem. Yeah? You call in admin. Yeah, you call admin. Yeah? Admin can help to cancel the ticket. Maybe because um, you've discovered that you cannot fly again that day. You call in admin. Admin can help you cancel the ticket. Again, at that point, you are not using the system. It's admin that is using the system. Does it make sense? And maybe you call in, admin can help you to check your flight status. Yeah? Does it make sense?
Okay, yeah.
So at this point, at this level, admin, go on.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go on, Agnes.
I thought the admin is working for the airline company. So if the admin is working for the airline company, I'm thinking that it should be like responding to the user, in this case, the passenger. That's my thinking, though.
Apart from Agnes, does everybody understand what I just explained? Just give me a thumbs up. Okay, Agnes. Now, look at this. This is you, the passenger. Yeah? Whenever you are making reservation, how do you make reservation? Let's chat. How do you make reservation? Say if you want to make reservation. Okay, let me help you. You go into the system, you log in. Sometimes you don't even need to log in. Just go into the system. Yeah. Probably before you proceed to booking the ticket, they'll request for you to register and log in. So you now log in. Yeah. At that point, you can see that you are the one using the system. Yeah. You book, you make payments. But you don't have any contact with admin. Admin does not help you. Admin does not confirm anything. Yeah. But let's say you're trying to make a reservation and your you couldn't. You now call admin. When you call admin, who will be using the system at that point? Agnes, tell me.
The admin.
Exactly. So you can see now that admin is now the primary call.
Okay.
Yeah. But you are right. You are also right. Admin can be a secondary act responding to the customer. For instance, admin can decide to, you can call in. Yeah. You've already booked your tickets, but now you now call. Admin can respond. Probably maybe you didn't complete your transaction. Then they've seen it on the system and they just cancel it because you are blocking some other person's spot. Yeah. However, you look at the system, you want to focus on what your goal is. Yeah. Because this is just open. You want to focus on what your stakeholder wants. Your stakeholder can decide that they want admin here. What will admin do? Just know what the secondary actor does. If it does not reflect that action, you tell them that no, it can't be here. The admin should be here. So it now depends on context, what you are building. Yeah?
Okay. Yes.
Every system behaves differently and every actors behave depending on what the system is. Yeah? Okay.
Okay.
So no question again. Let's move to the next. Aha. This is where it becomes complicated. Yeah. So, Senika, this is why I say you should not use parent and child. Yeah. So we now have the fourth relationship, which is the generalization or inheritance. Yeah. So remember, we have the solid line, the association. We have the broken arrow pointing forward and backward, which is include and exclude relationship. Now we're looking at the fourth relationship, generalization, also known as inheritance or specialized relationship. Yeah, that's a mother-father kind of relationship. Yeah. So, for example, let me take us back. Okay, let's look at this. Yeah, or let me take us back. Now we have passenger. Okay, let's say we have customer. Let's say customer is here. Yeah, as a passenger. Yeah. Now, customer can either be the passenger himself or an agent. Who talked about the agent? Well, I think you're the one that mentioned the agent. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Customer and customer can either be the passenger himself or the agent. So that is how we came to this generalization. Yeah. For instance, in a system like this, we have old user and we have new user. So if we want to center it, this simply means we generalize these users as just user. Instead of saying old user or new user. This level is where we talk about specialized relationship. This level. Because we're breaking down the generalization to specialization. Yeah. Does it make sense? But the most important thing here is the arrow. The arrow leads up, which makes it generalize. Does it make sense? Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So if we have the customer, let's say this is a customer. The customer is a generalized term. Let's center it now, or let's simplify it. Then we'll be talking about the agent or the passenger himself. That's in this case. Yeah. If it's, say, like student loan, for instance, that we talked about. Yeah. We could say customer here. Then when we come here, we can say students or degree students, then postgraduate students, if that's how they define it. Yeah. Does it make sense? If you're doing a postgraduate program, yeah, you could process loan. If you're just doing your first degree, you can also process loan. So you can define them, that specialty. Yeah. This is generalization, this is specialized. That's why it's called inheritance. They are all related to this guy. Okay. Yeah. So let's look at this another example. Payment. Payment. Yeah. Payment is generalized there. True or false? Yeah. So if we want to specialize, we'll now talk about, okay, what kind of payment are we talking about here? Yeah. Is it PayPal? Is it card payment? Is it bank transfer? We want to specialize. Yeah. Now, to specialize it's not just two, just like we've been doing. It might be three, might be four. But one advice for doing a use case is to keep your use case very, very simple. Yeah, very simple, such that you just want to achieve a particular goal. Yeah. So let's look at this example that we have here. Yeah, I think everything that we've talked about is here, apart from one thing that we're going to talk about next, which makes that thing that we're talking about next make this case very complicated. Yeah. So let's look at this user. We have students. Sorry, we have user here. Yeah. User is associated with all these use cases. Remember, use cases are this oval shape. Yeah. Use cases. Yeah. Then these are our actors again. Primary actor, secondary actor. All this inside the box is use case. The lines are the association. So we have the solid line, which is association. Yeah. We have this broken arrow. This one is extend. We have the include here. So let's look at this. Yeah. User authenticate. Yeah. You put in your login details. Yeah. What happens when the system is trying to authenticate you as a user? It fails. How am I so quick? It fails. Invalid username or password. Abigail, or is it Agnes? Do you understand this now?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You see the arrow? Because the system fails to authenticate you, there's an error that is displayed here. So it becomes an extend. You see where the arrow is. Yeah. So let's look at this. User gives feedback. Yeah. Meaning, whenever the user wants to give feedback, it calls another use case, which is to fill feedback form. Yeah. So you can see the arrow. So this use case cannot be complete until this use case is completed. Yeah. So the same thing here. Same thing. So, but importantly, we're looking at this generalization. So generalization, see, we can specialize student and staff. This is a library system, library management system. Yeah. Do we have questions here? If I proceed. No question. Interesting. Or we are tired. If we are tired, I don't need to proceed. Trust me, because the next one might be a little bit too much. We usually don't use it. Yeah? Okay, let me move to the next.
Following, we're following.
Okay, let's move to the next. Now, do we understand the concept of extend? Yeah, do we understand the concept of extend? Because the next relationship, yeah, is a more complicated extend use case or extend. We call it extension point. Yeah. So let's look at this. Mike, go on.
I was going to ask, is it safe to assume that every time we talk about extend relationship, it's an unhappy path?
I want to be very careful. I just use that as an analogy. We usually
Okay.
don't use it as happy
Because I've
path or
noticed all the
alternative path.
examples of extend are the system has checked through what it holds for the user and then it's found an anomaly that the details are not correct, then it's responding back to the user. That's what I'm thinking. Will it be safe to carry on that assumption? Maybe for ease of understanding, include relationship and extend relationship.
Now, that would be for you, for your own understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. If that is how you can interpret it, yeah, I do want to be careful because everybody might have their different ways of simplifying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to use
Thank
that context, if that's how you could understand it, it's fine. Most importantly, when you are communicating with this diagram, you want to communicate correctly.
Okay.
Do I make sense?
Yes, you
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Thanks.
So now I won't tell you that's not true. You are correct, but just be careful, especially when you are giving the information out to a lot of people. You want to describe it in such a way that you don't limit it or you don't use the wrong concept. Yeah, because you might misinform your audience. Yeah. So extension points. Extension point. So we can see this as well. We can see an extension point. Yeah. We can see an extension point. Or let me use this because it's easier. Or let me stay here. Now, remember, extension point is another version of extended relationship. Yeah. It's a more advanced extended relationship. Yeah. But when I explain, you get it. Now, if you look at this, register is a use case on its own. True or false, everyone? So register here is a use case.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Now, if you want to register, yeah, say you don't know what it takes to register, that becomes like a challenge. Yeah. And you now decide, let me pull up the user guide. Yeah. That means for you to register, you ask for help. What help? User guide. Once you pull up the user guide, that becomes an extension point. Does it make sense? Or take, for instance, you want to complete your loan application, student loan application, but you don't know, say, the procedure of how to complete it or the terms and condition that you need to meet. If you click something else to help you achieve that, that becomes an extension point. That's why you see view guide or view terms and condition here. Anything that would help you to achieve this registration becomes an extension point. In this case, the guide and the terms and condition. Does it make sense? Okay, let's move back to this example here, the flight example which we've seen. Yeah, you want to book a flight. It's becoming you don't understand how to book the flight, so you need help. Or say you've booked the flight, yeah, but as at the time you are booking the flight, they ask you if you want to select your seat. Yeah. Now you can see now selecting your seat, you don't have to complete that task. You might complete it later. If you fly a lot, you know that whenever you book a flight, they tell you to select your seat. Or if on the day that you want to fly, you decide to select your seat, it's still okay. So they give you the option. Am I making sense? Everybody's
Yes.
quiet.
Yes, you are. Making sense.
We can tell you that this is a little bit complicated. That's why most times we don't really come here, because it's only when you've built your confidence in the other relationship, then you can now come here, explore. That is wants to show your skills. Trust me, extension point is a little bit complicated. We don't usually do extension. Yeah, we keep it very simple like this. Yeah, but if you are good, yeah, you want to come here and apply and do this, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Does it make sense, guys? Now, what we mean simply here is you are given an option. Remember, an extend relationship does not happen all the time. Yeah, that means you have an option. So here, you have an option to select your seat or not to select your seat. Yeah, so that becomes an extend relationship. But in this case, it is an extension point. Yeah. So, but I will advise we can keep this one until we are okay with the other relationship, because usually we don't do extension point. I will not lie to you. A lot of people don't even know extension points. Yeah. So go on, Agnes. Voila.
Okay, is this something like this? Okay, like there's this word game, I think Zen word game. Sometimes you play the game and some words, they give you like letters, they ask you to make use them to form certain words, and maybe you're not able to get the particular word, and there's something in the system that helps you to like give you maybe the meaning of the word to help you use it
Fantastic.
to make the word.
Fantastic.
Is that
Yes. Yes. That's an extension point.
okay?
Yeah. Now, this is the thing you need to understand. When you use the word and the word is not correct, what is that? Extend.
An
Yeah.
error?
Agnes.
Yes,
Yes,
extend.
extend.
That's an extend. Yes.
It did not work. Yeah. So now you have to revert to help.
Yes.
So that becomes an extension point.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So does that make sense?
Yes, it does. A lot of sense.
Now, an extension point is simply giving you a choice. An extend does not give you a choice. Yeah. You have an option, an extension point. You have an option to use to select or to use help, to request for help, or not. But for an extend, there's no option. Yeah. Does it make sense, everyone? Yeah. We are almost, now this is basically the end. Yeah. Usually I cover this 30 minutes, I've finished this. But because of what I need to explain in the beginning, because I know usually getting the requirements done is always our challenge for everybody, even including me that is here. Yeah. So best practice, focus on the business goal. What is the goal? When you're doing a business case, you want to focus on the goal. That's why you need to understand what you are building and why you are building it. And what exactly are you trying to benefit from that? If you build it, what will you benefit? Once you understand that, you've keyed into, you are now focused on the functions, the requirements that would help you achieve that goal. Now, say keep the diagram simple. So you want to keep that diagram as simple as possible. You don't want the arrows, the relationship, the links to be crossing each other. Yeah. Use business language. In this case, there is what they call naming convention. Yeah. As a business analyst, you should know this. And you should also know what they call versioning. If you want to version your document, if you want to name your document. For example, in this case, when you are doing a process flow diagram or a use case diagram, let me show you this. Yeah. Let's see. You see this use case here. It says select seat, book flight. Now, you always want to use action words. For example, select is an action word. That's a verb. Sit is a noun. Sit is a thing. A thing. Now. So you always want to use an action and a noun. That's a naming convention. That's why I said here, use business language. Now, business language also means if you are in an accounting or financial environment, they have terminologies that they use within that environment. Yeah. If you are a technical person, for instance, you are a BA, yeah, nobody expects you to be very technical. Yeah. So, and for you as a BA, you are the bridge between the technical guys and the business guys. Those business guys, they don't understand anything the technical guys are going to be saying. They don't. So you as the BA, you are the bridge. So the reason you are doing all this is to be able to communicate to both the technical guys and business guys, because the business guys only understand business language, which is how much are we earning here? What are we getting? Yeah. What are we achieving with this? What are the risks? Why the technical guys are be telling you things like um, class, uh, 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 um, um, anything that has to be, technical jargons. They'll be talking about it. So you will help to bridge the gap. Yeah. But in bridging the gap, you also want to be very knowledgeable in that domain. Yeah. If you are in finance or you are in law environment or healthcare environment, they have their own terminology. But that is not what I'm actually focusing on here. It's the naming convention. So the naming convention is basically, especially when you're doing your process, you want to use words like a verb and a noun. Yeah, because you're talking about action. Your functionality are simply actions that you're going to be performing. Yeah, so that means you want to use words that what the users are going to be doing. User want to book flights. User want to upload documents. You could see a verb and a noun. If you go by everything I've said here, look at this example. Yeah. Now, all your use cases should be a verb and a noun. Book a course, make payments, register, yeah, log in has to be an action. It's the same way when you're doing your process smart, yeah. For each of your steps, it has to be a verb and a noun, yeah. So just take note. How do we assess this? Yeah. Can I ask us what systems do we have to create a process flow or wireframe? What system do they give us to create?
Miro
Alchemic. Alchemic
for
for
wireframe and Miro for process map.
Come again? What? Balsamic.
For
yes,
wireframe,
wireframe.
Then what do you use for process map?
Miro.
Miro.
Yeah.
Do you have Miro?
Yes.
Okay. Does everybody have Miro?
Yeah.
Miro is a little bit difficult
I
to use.
had, but I can't find
Yeah,
it anymore.
that's
I
fine.
had Miro, but I can't find it anymore.
Just
Okay.
check your email. You should have.
Okay, that's fine. What you guys need to do, I thought you guys have Visio. I would have pulled up Visio, for instance. Let me pull up Visio. This is Visio. Yeah. So, go back here. You could see if it's Visio you are using, you have all this here. If you want to go further, you look for a use case. Use case is here because I pulled it up now. Yeah. Normally you find it down here, but because I've used it, so it has gone up here. You just click that. Yeah, click that. So this comes up. Yes, and see use case. Everything that we've talked about, these are the actors. That's the use case. Association, generalization, see extend, include. Dependency. I wouldn't say you guys should use this. This makes everything messy. Trust me. System. That's the system that we are building. Now, this is for Visio. Yeah. For Mirror, it's a little bit different, but it's the same concept. Yeah. Now, if I want to create something different from video, let's say I want to start from a, a, a blank page. Yeah, you can see there's nothing here. So all I just need to do, yeah, even if you are using, Mirror, yeah, you just need to search there. Just need to search use case, yeah, for Mirror. You click, you'll see it, yeah. But you see the difference here. It's just coming up with this because this is use case. But if I do it like this, see what will happen. UML. So you see, let's put the words together to see if it will come up. Still nothing much. So let's do this again. Yeah. Nothing much. This is interesting. Okay. What I can also do, I could go and search for it. You come here, click there. It's usually where you have software database. So you can see we have wireframe here. Yeah. We have depend on what you're looking for. But when you come here, you can see use case there, right? UML, that's use case. Okay, the reason it didn't come up is because I use small letter. So those are the things that you need to understand. Yeah, as a business analyst, Yeah, you should know basic. Once you know basic, you can apply to everything. Yeah, nobody's going to teach you everything. You just need to know. What did I do? Oh, small letter again. You could see, you just need to search. It's always there. Any system they give you, you search. So you can see now that this has come up. So I'll scroll down, see where use case is. So you can see there's actor, there's use case, there's subsystem. Here now you can't find the link. Yeah. So, but if you scroll very well, you see the links are somewhere. Yeah. But better still, use the template. Yeah. Use the template, which is come back here. In mirror, you see the template. So if I click that, yeah, I see the template. Yeah. So what I could do if I decide to want to clean up all this, I can clean them up. Yeah. I can decide to delete all of them. I don't need them. So that I can create my own. Does it make sense? So if you have mirror, then I'll bring the system here. This is my actor. Yeah. Why is it not deleted? So once you have that, you name the application, whatever it is that your project is that you're trying to build. Yeah. So you name it first. Then you would have identified your actors. Yeah. I have left, right actor. Oh, come on. And to have left. Now, this what I'm doing now, yeah, it also apply anywhere. Any system you have is the same. Yeah. Once you understand what all this means, you use any system you are given. Yeah. So I can drag a use case in there. Yeah, I can use that link if I want. Yeah. I can also decide to click that. Yeah. And create my link. Yeah. So all the systems are the same. Anyone you decide to pick, yeah, it's still the same thing you're going to be doing. Is extend, you also put it there. Yeah. Is include, is the same. Let me show an example of that one. Yeah. Let's say I drag that. Where is this thing? Okay, my mouse. Mouse is messing up. Yeah. So, but do you understand what I'm trying to communicate here? Respond if you don't understand, just respond. Now, Agnes, see this. Yeah. Agnes, can you see what I'm doing? You see
Yes, I'm
include,
saying
you see exclude. Now,
yes.
look at what I want to do. Yeah. Let me extend this one. Let's say I do that. So you see, that's include. Yeah, you can see that clearly, right? Even if you can't see it and you want to increase it, you can decide to increase. So it's clear. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Then let's say this is extend. Remember, this is the base use case. Let's say login. Login. Yeah. This is verify.
Yeah.
Yeah. Details. Yeah. Okay. So let's have another here. Now let's have a extend here. Remember, you have to be careful with this. Yeah. So let's look at this extend. Yeah. Let me increase that one as well. Yeah. So you can see it very well now. So when you try to log in, see the arrow. See where the arrow is facing. There. See where this arrow is
Yes.
facing. That way.
Yes.
See the arrow there. So, but if you notice this arrow is pointing here. So that means something is wrong. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I'll show you now. See the arrow? See the arrowhead? It's pointing here. Look at this arrowhead. Yeah. It's pointing there. What is wrong in this case? What's wrong?
The arrow is supposed to face the login, right? The extend
Yes,
arrow is supposed to face the
do you now see the difference now?
Yes.
Can everybody see the difference? You see the difference now, it's clear. Yeah? So you have to be careful with this one. Yeah? Have to be careful. Yeah? So does it make sense? Let's keep whatever our project is, let's keep it simple. Let's not make it complicated. Yeah? I think we're fine at this point. So now let's start by understanding what we need. Okay, let's even do this. Let's do this. Let me open up another page. Yeah. Let me go. So space. Yeah. So I have this page here. Let's split the page so you can see now. You can see my split that one. Yeah, so I've splitted this my screen. So you can see now. Yeah. So this is my requirement, but I've broken it down here. Yeah. So what do I need first? Remember, what system are we building? Yeah. Let me use this short one so they know. If you can remember it like this, name it first. Yeah, that's the system. I've identified the actors. Here we have actors. All these people here are not just people going to be using the system. If we look at this system that we're building, who do you think will be using the system? Student, right?
Student, yes.
Will loan officer be using the system?
No, they will respond to this. I believe they will respond to the system.
Well, at some point they will use it, but not probably the same time with the students.
Now, they have their own system. Yeah. They are external, but they have their own system. Let's say yes, they are like institution. Yeah. So that means we have one, yeah, which is because we have other, let's say user. Why did I say user? Because we also have university or IT team. So we can now do generalization in that case. So okay, let's leave it at this level, students. Yeah, we'll leave it at that level, students. Copy that. Remember, primary actor, then secondary actor. What do we have? loan officer. Yeah, let's say loan officer. Does it make sense now? Yeah. Let me extend this box. Yeah. Probably I should put the full name so that I don't miss it. There's a particular thing I wanted to show us. Also, always remember to name your system. Okay, so we have a use case. What do we expect the system to do? Register applicants or students. So leave that register. Remember, register is an action word. Yeah. What else do we expect it to do? Students login. Yeah. What else? Student can submit application, right? Now, you see your QA and your developer. Sometimes this is what they use to create, especially the QA, their test cases. Yeah. They look at this, they look at your story, but this makes them understand what they need to test. Yeah. Students should be able to upload documents. This case. Yeah. What else? Students should be able to what? Track status. What else? Receive notification. Okay, so see all these use cases. Yeah, let me take that up. Let me take that up as well. Yeah, so association. And drag, you know what? You can come here, take that link. Like I just touch. You can link that. Now this is where the problem lies. This will not link it correctly. Yeah. Take that. Drag that up. In the same way, you can see there's ouch. You can see the association. So the student loan is associated with that use case. Yeah. There's that. It's also associated with that. Yeah. Associated with that. Oh. This thing looks like it's easy for me because yeah, I can do it. If for you, if you want to do it, yeah, you struggle. Yeah. And it's good if you struggle because with time you get better. But if you don't do it, yeah, you won't know what you need to do to improve. You need to do it and fail so you understand how you need to do it better. Yeah. So now, do you see what I said? You see this? It's crossing. Yeah. You want to make sure it does not cross if you can. But it's okay. It's okay like this, but try as much as possible not to make it cross. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see this student is associated with all these use cases. So how does loan officer come in here? Does anybody know? Remember, there's a use case here. Yeah.
Maybe when there is an error in the system or in the registration process or login process?
I would think the loan officer comes in to review the application.
So let's look at everything that we have here. Do we have anything like review here?
No.
No.
Now, this, you see why we communicate. Yeah. So now we know what the loan officer, they'll have to review the application. Yeah. They'll have to check your eligibility. That's the application. And they will have to acknowledge your application. Yeah. So see that we did not capture review here. Yeah. So let's create a use case for it. Remember, review is an action. Yeah. So you could see everything that we've done here: register, login, submit application, upload evidence, track status, receive notification, review application. They are all action now. Action now. Review is an action. Action is a verb. Application is a noun. Yeah. So you take notes. Is it making sense now? Okay. Now, notification can either be email. Remember, at this point, you're not talking about solution. Yeah? You're just trying to analyze the system. So there's no solution here. Although this looks like solution, but that's not really the solution. Solution is when you now go back, break it down to lower level, user story and all that stuff. Yeah? So those are the things the developer picks to start developing the work, building. Yeah. So, but at this point, you're just analyzing the system. Yeah. You're not implementing anything. So you now can now decide that, okay, notification. How do you deal with notification? Again, you have a user story. Notification can either be email or a message. So when you're writing your story, you can now define that details. Do you understand? Yeah. Even login. Yeah. When you are writing the user story, you can pick this probably as an epic. Yeah. Or a feature. It all depends. If it's huge, might take it as an epic. If it's not, all depends on the structure of the organization. Yeah. But when you're writing your story, now define it in proper terms. Break it down. Yeah. To meet the invest criteria. And also you write your acceptance criteria. Yeah. So where are we? Here, remember, association. Yeah. What do we do here? When we try to log in, this is a base use case. What happens if everything goes well?
That's include.
Remember, check the arrow very well. Increase that font size. It's not visible. Yeah. So remember, just check that arrowhead very well. It's very important, because if you point it wrongly, that's how the developers are going to see it, or that's how the technical guys are going to interpret it. So if it doesn't go well, that becomes what?
Extend.
So remember, see the arrow. Yeah, something is wrong with the arrow.
Do we
What's wrong?
do we still need to worry about the direction of the arrow if we're actually picking extend and include?
Definitely, because
Is that not a system what's the word I'm looking for? System fault? Because I would expect that, okay, if it's an include, the arrow should be from the use case to the extension, and then
no,
if
this is not
it's
an extension point. You remember,
sorry, no extension
before this
points.
before this login will be completed,
Yes,
this have to complete automatically.
yes,
Yeah. Now you are defining the requirements.
yes.
You are telling them that for login to complete, you need
That use case to happen.
use case to happen.
Yeah,
Complete. Now, if that use case does not happen, yeah, the system should display
an error
a
message.
message.
Yeah,
You are the one that is saying this. Yeah. You are defining, you are trying to explain how the system is going to work. So if the arrow is not in the right place, you are passing a different message.
okay, so my
Because
question now is,
remember this UML diagram
yeah,
is a standard diagram. Technical guys understand what it is.
okay,
So if you don't use the right um, stencil or the right shapes or arrow, yeah, you'll be communicating something different. And what they see is what they are going to build. So
okay,
you want to be careful. So that means
okay,
that arrow needs to point to the right place. Include will point to the corresponding use case,
yes,
which is the use case. While extend will point back to the base use case to
yes,
show that things has not gone right.
successfully.
Well,
So
Yeah.
that's why my question is, since the tools to the left of the Visio page shows include and extend, should we still be worrying about which direction the arrow is pointing, or is this just for me to be a bit more careful with what I'm doing? Because I would have expected that once it is include and I select include to show the relationship between login and verify or login details, it should be that the arrow is pointing from login to verify. That's why I was asking
Let's
that.
say,
Should we
yeah, I
still?
understand. Let's
Yes.
say I'm a stakeholder and I just look at this diagram. Let's say I'm a developer. Just look at this diagram. Say, okay, I've read the story. I've seen your wireframe and all that. Seen your acceptance criteria. And I now look at this. So this thing looks a little bit off because this is include. Yeah, but the arrow is pointing at. Let's say extend arrow is include. Let's say this is it. Yeah. Or let me reverse this one so that you understand where I'm coming from. Yeah. So now you see that include arrow, the arrowhead has changed. Yeah. You see where it's pointing at. Yeah.
Yes.
You see where it's pointing now. Now, if I look at this, I'm going to assume that you mean this is what you want. Every time I try to log in, yeah, the system should verify that details. I can see that, but what I could see here is telling me different. I'm now confused. So this now becomes a blocker because you are saying one thing, but you are communicating another.
Okay.
So that means you want to do it the right way. So whoever is looking at this does not get confused. Usually they will come back to you to ask you, why did you turn it? Why did you do it like this? Some will not have that time to say they want to come to you. They want to just finish their work and move on. That's developers for you. They don't just want to do that thing and get paid and leave. Yeah.
Okay.
So you
All right.
need to give them you need to communicate the right thing at all times. Most times, if they are not clear, they come to you, yeah?
Yeah.
But you don't know what they are going to be using. And you don't know when they are doing what, yeah? So if they are now doing this, and this is now a blocker, and probably they need the release very soon. And to get to you now, because you'll be doing other things. While they are doing this, you are doing other things. And for them to now drag you back to the meeting might take some time. That becomes a blocker. So you want to avoid all this. Just do it correctly the first time if you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that's where you talk
Thank
about
you.
your sprint planning. You might look at all this and ask all the necessary questions that they want to ask. Yeah. But just know that this is just high level. Low level is when you pick up this task, this individual tasks. Yeah. And start writing your user story. Break it down to user story. Remember, for example, one of the pain points you have here is probably password reset. When you talk about login, because sometimes you might forget your login. That's why you have this error. So it might become a login problem or a user name problem. Yeah. So when you are writing your requirements or your user story, those are the things you now want to capture. You want to expand on this. For example, upload evidence. What does that even mean? Yeah. What does upload evidence mean for student loan? You want to define what upload evidence is. Probably you want to upload the necessary document. Your acceptance criteria will capture that. You understand? So when you're writing details, that's where all those things will be captured. At this level, you don't worry too much. Just want to understand what the actors are going to be doing with the system. So there's no detail here. Does it make sense? Yeah? Okay. So let me say now, again, we have another actor here which is the university. The university can verify your um that you're a student. Yeah. So you don't have to capture it. So if you notice, there's what they call a business rule. The developers are the one that always ask the question, how do you guys want it to work? Is it that everybody can apply? No, everybody cannot apply. So one of the business rules is that an enrolled applicant must be enrolled at an approved institution. You have to be a student. Yeah. And only one active application per academic year. So you cannot apply for this twice in a year. Yeah. So you can see how all these things, yeah, this is also a constraint. Yeah, the business rule is more like a constraint. It helps your requirements. So you can see where you start breaking down that. Now, this use case will sit somewhere between this, maybe under that, because use case does not focus on non-functional requirements. Use case only focus on functional requirements. Yeah. So you need to understand what non-functional requirement is as well. Yeah. Then you develop your user story. This is just like an example. Yeah. Then you talk about your acceptance criteria. Then have we heard about personas, user personas? Yeah. You don't need to worry about this. Yeah. You have another team that deals with this. But as a business analyst, you should be able to understand this. Yeah. You understand this. You want to understand your customer. Again, your product owner. They know all this. They understand the customer. They understand what the customer wants. They deal with those people doing the design themselves. Again, UI UX design. When you're doing your wireframe, you automatically become the UI UX designer. Yeah. So those are the things the UI UX they do. They design prototypes. Yeah, for you to design prototypes, you have to do your research. That's where user persona comes in. It's more like a fictional character of the actors, those that are going to be using the system. We want to understand their demographic. We want to understand what they do, what profession are they. Those are people that are going to be using the system. But again, you don't need to worry about this too much. Yeah. Another thing, look at customer journey mapping. Now, it sounds like process mapping. Yeah. Journey mapping is it's like an end to end. Yeah. Process map it looks similar. Yeah. Looks similar, but process map is not totally end to end. It might just be use register process. Yeah. Register process. But when you're talking about customer journey mapping, user journey mapping. Yeah. We're talking about how the customer is going to register, log in, would fill the application, will submit the application, will upload evidence, whatever evidence means, would wait for response. It will end when the customer gets payment. Yeah. But the process mapping is different. The process mapping might just look at, okay, let's look at login or registration of the application. What do you do at that point? You register, you log in, the first phase. Say you submit your application, you get notification. Yeah, it's more granular. The journey mapping is high level, while the process map is more lower level. Yeah. So I put all this together for us. This is just a summary of what you guys are supposed to be doing. Yeah. Understand what the business need, identify if it's a problem or opportunity, define the objectives, identify your stakeholders, yeah, which will now help you that will help you to organize sessions or requirements, yeah. Then once you gather your requirements, you now go about defining what functional requirements are, the non-functional requirements. We also want to validate them. We want to run a session with your stakeholders just to validate what you've gotten so far. You talk about where necessary, you want to look at data requirements. Yeah, again, when you're looking at behavioral user stories from the perspective of the user, what information does the user need? Yeah, those are the data requirements. For example, if you want to register, you need to have a username. Your username is also defined by either your email or your name or anything. Yeah, that's the data. Yeah. You can also define the business rule like we mentioned earlier. Then you can create this. Once you understand who your users are, you don't have to go into all these details. Yeah. You might start thinking of what what they might likely be using the system. For example, say the system is built for an accountant. Yeah, you could start thinking, what will accountant want to do with the system? Yeah. If the system is built for an engineer or say a medical doctor, your thinking will be different from how you'll be thinking if it's an engineer using the system. That's where the persona comes in. Yeah. We talked about the user journey mapping, user story acceptance criteria. You can produce these two documents here, then you validate and obtain a sign off. Again, after everything, you can see as a BA, you also support the test and delivery team. So they will always come to you because you are the one that gathered the requirements. You are the one that will give them clarification. Yeah. So you can mess up the work. Yeah. You can make the work a successful one. At the same time, you can be the one responsible for failure, yeah, of the whole project. Because you're a business analyst. If the requirements is not correct, then there's a problem. Once they carry on with the build. But the good part is if you are in an agile environment and you're working in a Scrum team, you can easily make amends. For instance, if you write a requirement and they discover that, oh, something is wrong, yeah, they can decide to go back to the table, and reorganize and recommit, yeah, your story again to probably next sprint. So that's the advantage when you build in uh, parts. So we shouldn't use the word building in parts. Iteration, yeah, and that's why you have your sprints. Every sprint you have your sprint goal. You know what you are delivering for that sprint. Yeah. So yes, do we understand everything so far, or have I been able to convince you and not to confuse you? Because I know being a BA is very, very confusing. Yeah. And nobody can beat their chest and say, I'm the best BA. It's impossible. Nobody can do that. Yeah. I can tell you one thing for sure. Most BA still think like you. Yeah. They still think like you. They can be confident, but because projects differ. Yeah. Project differ. So they will still go in with an idea of, okay, what do I need to do again? Yeah, what am I looking at? They will still start just like you are starting now. So don't think anybody is better than you. It's just that maybe they know some things now, yeah, or they know how to navigate when they have challenge compared to you. Yes. So at least I've tried. This is over 2 hours. I didn't believe I'll I've never done use case for 2 hours before. It's always 30 minutes. Yeah. So are we okay with what we've gotten today?
Yes, we are. Please, I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Why do we use wireframe and still use use cases? Can't I mean, does or do we use wireframe or use cases? I don't know because they are all diagrams. I'm just wondering
You know
why
what?
do we
You know
have
what
to
this
use?
is?
Okay.
You know what definition of done is?
Yes.
So if you know what definition of done, as a business analyst, you have your artifacts. Yeah. Part of your artifacts. Yeah. For you to say for your requirements to be complete or for your requirements to be termed as Again, definition of done is what you define as this requirement is complete. It's ready to move to development. It's ready for the developers to pick start working. Yeah, that means all your artifacts will be there. It all depend on how your team define the definition of done. When you're writing your requirement, maybe you just pick up the requirement because it's new. When you're working on it, yeah, it's seen to be in progress. When you finish, you move it to the next stage, which is instead of saying complete, yeah, or ready, yeah. For the BA, it's called definition of ready, yeah, or done. From the BA perspective, is ready, but from the project perspective, from the sprint perspective, it's called done. Definition of done. So whatever you define as definition of ready as a BA, yeah, will include all the artifacts, the user story and all the artifacts, which will now include your wireframe, if necessary, if that's what you've termed as definition of ready, your process flow, yeah, your use case diagram, if you want to create one, yeah. So you can create one if you want. So these are just part of your artifact. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So if you want to learn, yeah, because usually a use case is high level. You don't really do use case when it comes to um, implementation. Use case is usually before implementation. This helps you to craft your story. It helps you to categorize your work. Yeah. For example, you can decide that, okay, let's look at, we're focusing on registration now. Let's say this sprint is for registration. Yeah. So it helps you to um, categorize the work such that you'll be doing it in units, smaller parts. Yeah. For example, your team might be doing registration while another team is doing login. Yeah. Or another team is doing upload evidence. At the end of the day, they will still tie everything together in deployment. Yeah? Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Good. So Raf and Adebi, go on with your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. As we were designing this use case, I was trying to do the same, but I got
Yeah.
stuck. I don't, from that beginning, UML use case. If I
Yeah.
type it, nothing shows up from my own. I don't know.
What are you using? What tool?
Just Word document. I thought you are using Word
No, no,
document.
no, you don't know what document. This is Visio.
This what?
This is Visio. This is not what document.
Oh, I was wondering.
See it up there.
Okay, okay. We need to download it, right?
No, you can't download it. It's not free.
Okay.
I think they've given you guys a
If you've got
my
Miro, because I just
mirror.
typed it in Miro and it comes up. So if you've got Miro,
Mm,
yeah, it will come up.
yeah, you can use mirror.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Let's see which other tool that is there. No, that's I can do something. Use case, use case, use case. So you can see all this. You have a lot of information on on YouTube that could help. Yeah, I'm trying to find a tool. Now, if in your balsamic, yeah, you still have use case in balsamic. You know that, right? You can search for balsamic use case. You see it. You can use balsamic to do it. You can use Myra. I used to have many tools when I used all these things. Yes, this tool is free, but you have to download the system. Yes, see, it has use case. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that tool is also free, but you guys need to be careful. I've shared the link. Yeah. Let me do this. Now, see, this is use case. To make a use case. If I click that, I just hope it doesn't tell me to register. Yeah, so you can see it has use case. So the same way, I drag that box. Yeah, I can name it anything. Yeah, I drag the stick man. Still the same. Is it not the same thing I just did with video? Yeah, so it's just the same. It's the same concept. Ah, what did I? Yeah, it's the same concept. Yeah. So all of them will show you the same, will do the same thing. All of them is the same. Once you understand the concept, you can work with it. You can always play with it. What's going on here? Okay, let's copy that image and paste. Anyway, all of them are the same. However, I've dropped this link on the chat so you can play with it. You can use Balsamic, you can use Mirror. Everything will give you the same. Does it make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Adebi, you can go on with your question.
All right, thank you, sir. Quick one. My question is basically on the functional tools that you said we use case for majorly. It's slightly diverting into user story case on wireframe, but I hope you'll be able to help me with it because with the wireframe of the just concluded sprint that we did, there was a particular user story that we've been having back and forth with my QA. The sign up, the sign up page. Now, immediately the sign up, the success story. There's a way that my QA, when I spoke to the product owner, is less concerned about it, but the user story are so adamant, the QA are so adamant on it that what should come up after the uh sign up is being successful, that there should be a display page, there should be something. Is it that kind of thing that user case is solving, or there should be a special display page?
I know your problem.
Do you get my
Use case.
question?
Yeah. Use case.
Use case.
Yeah. Does not have anything to do with what we just talked about. At the point where you do your use case is the point where you are trying to understand the capability of what you are building. Now, take for instance, we go back again. See, this is the system. Yeah, this is the system. If you look at this registration, this register, it's a process on its own. Do you understand? It can be huge. Registration, when you're doing when you want to break registration down, you are writing a user story for registration. It can be huge. It can have more sub stories. Yeah. For example, you are doing registration story. Yeah. You want to capture the details. Yeah. What does registration mean? What do you need to register? Capture the details. What happens after you register? That will be another story. Yeah. Now, also during registration, you want to capture passwords, specifications as well, or the rules for password. Yeah. You might want to capture that as a story on its own. Yeah. So now when they are testing, they can test that during registration, yeah, the registration form will come up first, right? They will test that the registration form can come up. Then the next test they're going to do is the details that are going to go on the form. Yeah, that means user can enter information on that text line on the form. They will test it. Can user enter information? They will test valid and invalid information. For example, if you say registration, to register, you need a username and a password. And let's say username, you want to define what username will be. Most cases, most registration use your email address as a username. True or false? But as a business analyst or as a business, it is what the business say they want. The business can decide that they don't want to use email as a username. They might decide to use your name as a username or tell you to create an alias, any name, yeah, that you want to use, that is available to use as a username. Yeah. But at the same time, they might also request for you to use your password, a valid password, and a valid email address as well. They might also ask you to put your age. Yeah. Age. Because they might say, if you are not up to a certain age, you can't attend, you can't apply. Yeah. Or like one of those business rules that you have to be a valid student. Yeah. For you to be able to apply for the loan. Yeah. So those are business rules that is tied or associated with the registration story that you are talking about. Because when they are testing it, all they are looking for, as the QA is concerned, all they are looking is, okay, we are testing for registration. When we want to test for registration, this is how they process it. What are we testing? What does registration entails? What are the data requirements for registration? Yeah. So the question that they are asking you is, whenever you log in, where do you expect them to arrive at once you've registered? Yeah. And you log in. What next are you expecting? Are you expecting to because once you register, yeah, automatically the system should create a portal, yeah, or a profile page for yourself, yeah, so that when you log in, you now gain access to that portal, your portal or your profile page. Does that make sense, Adebi?
Yes. Basically, the my question, I understand you answered it already, basically, because it's not. I understand all these things that you're explaining to me now. I just want to be sure you've answered it that it happens at the end of it. So that shows my user story needs to just be the one to explain it to them, not waiting until I do my user case, because it comes
Yes,
after.
because now this is me. I don't think there's any QA that will come and challenge me. I'll tell them to shut up and just do what I asked. Do what I asked them in the requirement. They are not the one that is gathering the requirement, so they cannot tell me that my requirement is wrong. Do you understand? Now, that is how you look at it as a BA. You are the one writing the requirement. Yeah? So they cannot tell you your requirement is wrong, but they can advise, because sometimes, because we're working as a team, when they spot something, they can come to you and say, it looks like something is it's off, because they are the last line of defense. So the way um, they analyze a system is different. They analyze the system from different perspectives. Plus, if they have experience, they could tell that if this thing does not happen, it might create another issue. So, and that's why when you do sprint planning, they ask all these questions, and you tend to address it. Now, for your product owner, most times product owner will not be debating all this. Product owner will just tell you to go and deal with it. Yeah. And they will just tell you this is what the business wants. That the business wants is their priority. Every other thing they don't really care. How it's going to work might not really be a big deal for them. They leave it to you to worry. So it's now you and your team that will now be and that's why you need to be close to your product owner so that you can explain to your product owner. It comes, you guys will have an understanding, yeah, so that whenever the developer or the testers coming to your product owner direct, your product owner will just tell them to come and speak to you, or will tell them the same thing that you have communicated, yeah. But the point is that you guys are working as a team. If they spot something and they give you a rationale why it should be like this or like that, yeah, you can take it on board. Speak to your product owner, yeah. And that's why we talk about justification, yeah. If the product owner does not want something to be there, if the QA like to hit their head on the wall, it's not your business. The product owner is in charge. He owns it, and he speaks from the perspective of the user, the customer. If the customer does not want something, if the QA like, they should bang their head from now to tomorrow. What the customer say they want is what they want. What the customer wants might not be the best, but as a BA, you have to help the customer get there. But if they insist that this is how they want it, and the testers are saying, no, they don't want it like that, it's not for them to tell you how the requirement should be. It's for them to look at the requirements, build it the way you've specified, yeah, and they test it accordingly. Anything outside that, yeah, is you don't have any business with that. Yeah, they are doing their own thing. Everything you are building is focused more on your customer wants. That's why they call it need. What does your customer say they want or they need? Not what the tester say they want or they need. If the customer says they want A, that is A they expect you to build. Yeah, but if there's an issue, yeah, you guys can come to a point where you have an understanding. But don't let any QA come and tell you your job. Yeah? Because if you don't create job for them, they cannot work. Yeah? So you have to hold your ground. Yeah? Does it make sense, Adebi?
Yes, yes, very much.
I say, see, as a BA, you have to be rugged though, because they will ride you, they will tell you don't know anything. Yeah. But meanwhile, if you don't put anything on ground, they won't have work. Yeah. So they can't really tell you a lot of things. You should be the one running things, not them. Although sometimes, like the developers, they pay them more. Yeah. But you have to be the one to tell them what to do, not the other way around. Yeah. So you have to be in control. You have to be in charge. Anyways, it's almost time. It's running to 3 hours. But how do we see the class today?
Can I stop the recording now?
Yeah, you can stop the recording. Finished.
Very interesting.